Picture this. You're sitting in your living room when suddenly everything goes dark. The hum of your refrigerator stops. Your Wi-Fi router blinks off. Your phone shows no signal. Outside, you can hear confused voices from neighbors stepping onto their porches, realizing this isn't just their house. This is a full blackout, and it could last hours, days, or even weeks. Now they've got a flashlight somewhere. Most people think they're prepared because in that junk drawer and maybe a few candles tucked away in a cabinet. But here's the brutal truth. When a real blackout hits, those basic supplies won't cut it. You're going to need gear that most people have never even heard of. Tools that could mean the difference between thriving during an outage and becoming another casualty of poor planning. I'm talking about 13 blackout survival tools that 99% of people don't know exist, let alone own. These aren't your typical emergency supplies that every survival blog talks about. These are the hidden gems, the game changers, the tools that separate the prepared from the panicked. And by the end of this video, you're going to have access to knowledge that could save your life when the lights go out. But first, let me tell you why this matters more than you think. Last year alone, Americans experienced over 3,000 significant power outages. That's more than 8 blackouts every single day somewhere in this country. And these aren't just quick blips. We're talking about outages that left millions of people in the dark for days, sometimes weeks. The Texas freeze, Hurricane Ida, the California wildfires, these events didn't just inconvenience people, they changed lives forever. The problem is, most people prepare for the wrong scenarios. They stock up on canned food and water, which is great, but they ignore the tools that actually make the difference between surviving and suffering through a blackout. They don't think about the psychological warfare that darkness wages on your mind. They don't consider how quickly desperation sets in when you can't communicate with the outside world, or when your basic human needs become impossible to meet. That's where these 13 tools come in. I've spent years researching, testing, and refining this list. Some of these items cost less than your morning coffee, while others require a small investment that pays massive dividends when disaster strikes. But every single one of them addresses a critical gap that standard emergency kits completely miss. Let's start with the first tool that could literally save your life. And it's something so simple that you'll kick yourself for not knowing about it sooner. Tool number 1 is the humble ferro rod, but not just any ferro rod. I'm talking about a military-grade ferrocerium fire starter that works in any weather condition, doesn't rely on fuel, and can create thousands of fires before wearing out. While everyone else is fumbling around with matches that won't light in the wind, or lighters that run out of fluid, you'll be starting fires with sparks that burn at over 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Here's why this matters more than you realize. Fire isn't just about warmth and cooking. Fire is psychological warfare against fear and desperation. When you can create fire on demand, you control light, heat, the ability to purify water, cook food, and signal for help. You become the person others turn to when panic sets in. A quality ferro rod costs less than $20, weighs almost nothing, and gives you fire-starting capability that works underwater, in freezing temperatures, and even after being buried in mud for months. But here's the secret most people miss. Technique matters more than the tool itself. You need to practice creating fires with your ferro rod before you need it. Spend an afternoon learning the proper angle, the right pressure, and which materials catch sparks best. Because when the lights go out and adrenaline is pumping through your veins, muscle memory will save you. Moving on to tool number 2, and this one is going to blow your mind because it solves a problem most people don't even realize they'll have during a blackout. We're talking about a manual water purification pump. Not those little survival straws you see advertised everywhere, but a serious piece of equipment that can turn literally any water source into clean, drinkable water for your entire family. Picture this scenario. The power's been out for 5 days, your stored water is running low, and the nearest creek or pond looks like chocolate milk. While everyone else is either drinking contaminated water and getting sick or slowly dehydrating, you're pumping out crystal clear water that's safer than what comes from your tap on a normal day. These pumps use multiple filtration stages to remove bacteria, viruses, heavy metals, and chemical contaminants. We're talking about technology that can process thousands of gallons before needing replacement filters. Some models can pump up to 4 gallons per minute, meaning you can fill containers for drinking, cooking, and basic hygiene needs faster than most people can boil a single pot of water. The psychological impact of having unlimited clean water cannot be overstated. Water anxiety is real, and it kicks in faster than you think. When you know you can turn any puddle into drinking water, you operate from a position of strength rather than desperation. Tool number 3 addresses something that keeps me up at night when I think about blackout scenarios. And it's probably not what you're expecting. Communication blackouts are often more dangerous than power blackouts themselves. Your cell phone becomes a paperweight when the towers go down or run out of backup power. Your landline is dead. The internet is gone. You're completely cut off from the outside world, unable to call for help, check on family members, or get critical information about what's happening around you. That's where a shortwave radio transceiver changes everything. Not just a radio that receives signals, but one that can transmit as well. These devices can communicate across hundreds of miles without relying on any infrastructure. When cell towers are down, when the internet is dead, when even emergency services are struggling to communicate, shortwave radio keeps working. Here's what makes this tool so powerful. You're not just a passive receiver of information, you become part of a communication network. You can reach out to other radio operators, share critical information, coordinate with neighbors, and even contact emergency services directly. Many police and fire departments monitor shortwave frequencies specifically for civilian emergency communications. The learning curve is gentle, and you don't need a license for emergency use. Modern shortwave transceivers are user-friendly, with preset emergency frequencies and simple operation procedures. Some models include GPS capability, allowing you to transmit your exact location if you need rescue or assistance. But the real game changer is the community aspect. There's an entire network of shortwave radio operators who provide emergency communication services during disasters. These volunteers, known as ham radio operators, coordinate rescue efforts, relay messages between separated family members, and provide real-time updates on conditions across affected areas. Tool number 4 is going to sound crazy until you understand the science behind it, and then you'll wonder why nobody talks about this. We're dealing with electromagnetic pulse protection, specifically EMP bags for your critical electronics. Now, before you roll your eyes and think this is some doomsday prepper nonsense, hear me out. Solar flares, cyber attacks, and even nearby lightning strikes can permanently damage the electronics you're counting on during a blackout. Your emergency radio, flashlights, phone, portable chargers, all of these devices contain sensitive circuits that can be fried by electromagnetic pulses. One solar storm could turn your entire emergency kit into expensive paperweights. But here's the beautiful thing about EMP protection. It's incredibly simple and cheap to implement. Military-grade EMP bags work like armor for your electronics. They're made with metallic mesh that creates what's called a Faraday cage, completely blocking electromagnetic fields from reaching whatever's inside. You can protect an entire emergency kit for less than $50, and these bags work against everything from solar flares to intentional EMP attacks. The key is redundancy and rotation. Keep duplicate devices in EMP bags while using others normally. This way, you always have backup electronics that are guaranteed to work no matter what caused the blackout. Some people go further and create EMP-proof storage areas using metal garbage cans lined with cardboard, turning them into large Faraday cages that can protect bigger items like generators or power tools. Tool number 5 is something that will make you feel like you're living in the future while everyone else is stuck in the Stone Age, and most people have never even heard of this technology. Thermoelectric generators, also known as TEGI units, convert heat directly into electricity without any moving parts, fuel, or sunlight. Think about this for a moment. While everyone else is rationing their battery power and praying for sunny skies to charge their solar panels, you're generating continuous electricity from nothing more than a temperature difference. These devices work on something called the Seebeck effect, where heat on one side and cold on the other creates an electrical current. You can place one side on a wood-burning stove, campfire, or even a hot car engine, while the other side stays cool from ambient air. The temperature differential generates power that can charge phones, run LED lights, or power small devices indefinitely as long as you maintain the heat source. Here's where it gets interesting. During winter blackouts, you're already generating heat for survival. Why not capture some of that thermal energy and turn it into electricity? A quality thermoelectric generator can produce enough power to keep essential electronics running while you stay warm. It's like getting free electricity from heat you're already creating. The military has been using this technology for decades in remote locations where solar panels and fuel supplies are impractical. Now, civilian versions are available that can fit in a backpack and generate substantial power from relatively small heat sources. Some units can produce over 40 watts continuously, which is enough to charge multiple devices simultaneously. Tool number 6 addresses a survival need that hits you in the gut when you realize how helpless you are without it. And it's something that becomes critical within hours of a blackout starting. Waste management systems designed for extended outages. I know, nobody wants to talk about this. But sanitation becomes a life or death issue faster than you think. When the power goes out, your toilet stops working if you're on a septic system with an electric pump. Even city sewer systems can back up when their pumping stations lose power. Suddenly, basic human dignity becomes a luxury you can't afford. Portable camping toilets with waste processing chemicals transform this nightmare scenario into a manageable situation. These aren't just buckets with seats. Modern waste management systems use enzymes and chemicals that break down waste, control odor, and create sanitary conditions that prevent disease outbreaks. Some models can handle a family's needs for weeks without emptying. The psychological impact of maintaining basic hygiene and dignity cannot be overstated. When people lose access to sanitary facilities, desperation and depression set in rapidly. Having a proper waste management system keeps your family healthy, maintains morale, and prevents the spread of diseases that can turn a blackout survival situation into a medical emergency. Professional grade systems include waste treatment tablets that accelerate decomposition, odor control compounds that neutralize smells, and disposal bags that allow for safe waste removal when services resume. Some even include privacy shelters that can be set up quickly to maintain dignity during use. Tool number 7 is going to change how you think about water storage forever, because it solves the biggest problem with traditional water stockpiling that nobody talks about: water rotation and preservation systems. Most people fill up some containers with tap water and think they're prepared, but water doesn't stay fresh indefinitely. It develops bacteria, algae, and tastes horrible after just a few months. Traditional water storage requires constant rotation, monitoring, and replacement. It's a logistical nightmare that most people abandon after the first few months. Water preservation tablets and rotation systems eliminate this problem completely. These tablets use chlorine dioxide technology to keep stored water fresh for up to 5 years without any rotation or maintenance. You fill your containers once, add the tablets, and forget about it until you need the water. When a blackout hits, you have hundreds of gallons of fresh water that tastes as good as the day you stored it. But here's the advanced technique that takes this to the next level: modular water storage systems that connect together like building blocks. Instead of having a few large containers that are impossible to move when full, you have dozens of smaller containers that can be transported, hidden, or distributed throughout your property. If one container gets contaminated or damaged, you don't lose your entire water supply. These systems often include spigots, connecting hoses, and even gravity-fed distribution systems that let you set up running water in your home during extended outages. Picture having water pressure at your kitchen sink while your neighbors are carrying buckets from the nearest stream. It's the difference between surviving and maintaining a civilized lifestyle during crisis. Tool number 8 is something that sounds too good to be true until you see it in action, and then you realize this single device could replace half your emergency kit. Multi-fuel generators are becoming nearly impossible to obtain, and for good reason. These machines can run on almost anything: gasoline, propane, diesel, kerosene, natural gas, alcohol, cooking oil, wood, biomass, or even trash. When traditional fuel supplies run out, these generators keep going by running on whatever you can find or make. The technology is called gasification, where the generator burns fuel incompletely to create a combustible gas that powers the engine. This process is so efficient that you can run these generators on wood chips, paper, cardboard, or any organic material. Some models can produce several kilowatts of power from nothing more than yard waste and fallen branches. During extended blackouts, fuel becomes more valuable than gold. Gas stations can't pump without electricity. Propane supplies get hoarded or depleted, but combustible materials are everywhere. Dead trees, waste paper, cooking grease, even old furniture can become fuel for power generation. You're limited only by your creativity and what's available around you. The strategic advantage is enormous. While everyone else is fighting over the last gallon of gasoline or arguing about propane tank sharing, you're generating power from materials that other people throw away. You become energy independent in the truest sense, capable of maintaining electrical power indefinitely regardless of supply chain disruptions. These generators also produce heat as a byproduct, so you're getting both electricity and warmth from the same fuel source. During winter blackouts, this dual-purpose capability becomes incredibly valuable for both survival and comfort. Tool number 9 is going to blow your mind because it turns one of the biggest blackout dangers into your greatest asset. And most people never even consider this possibility. Carbon monoxide detection and conversion systems. Everyone knows carbon monoxide is the silent killer during blackouts, when people start burning things indoors for heat and light. What they don't know is that there's technology that can actually convert that deadly gas into usable energy while keeping your family safe. Advanced carbon monoxide detectors with catalytic conversion capability don't just warn you about dangerous gas levels, they actually process the carbon monoxide and turn it into carbon dioxide and heat. These devices contain platinum catalysts that break down CO molecules at the molecular level, eliminating the threat while generating additional warmth for your living space. Here's why this is revolutionary. During blackouts, people die from carbon monoxide poisoning more than any other cause. They bring charcoal grills indoors, run generators in garages, or use camping stoves in closed spaces. The gas builds up silently, and by the time symptoms appear, it's often too late. But with catalytic conversion systems, you're not just detecting the danger, you're neutralizing it and benefiting from the process. These systems work continuously without electricity, powered by the chemical reaction itself. They mount on walls like smoke detectors, but provide active protection rather than just warnings. Some models can process enough carbon monoxide to keep an entire house safe while multiple heat sources are operating simultaneously. The peace of mind factor is incredible. You can use alternative heating methods without constantly worrying about invisible death creeping through your home. Your family sleeps soundly, knowing that any dangerous gases are being converted into harmless byproducts automatically. Tool number 10 addresses something that becomes absolutely critical after the first week of a blackout. And it's a problem that catches everyone off guard because they're focused on immediate survival needs: medical waste and medication preservation systems. When the power goes out, your refrigerated medications start degrading immediately. Insulin, antibiotics, heart medications, these become worthless within hours without proper storage. Meanwhile, any medical issues that arise during the blackout create contaminated waste that can spread disease if not handled properly. Portable medical refrigeration units powered by thermoelectric cooling can maintain proper temperatures for weeks using minimal power. These aren't just coolers with ice, they're precision temperature control systems that keep medications within therapeutic ranges, regardless of ambient conditions. Some models can maintain temperatures as low as freezing while consuming less power than a single LED light bulb. But the waste management side is equally critical. Medical waste containment systems designed for field use can safely store contaminated materials until proper disposal becomes available. These systems use chemical neutralization to render biological waste harmless and prevent the spread of infections that could turn a survival situation into a medical catastrophe. The psychological comfort of knowing your medications remain effective cannot be understated. For people with chronic conditions, medication anxiety becomes overwhelming during extended outages. Having reliable preservation systems eliminates this stress and ensures continued health management when medical facilities may be unreachable. Tool number 11 is something that sounds like science fiction but is actually available right now, and it solves one of the most overlooked problems during blackouts: atmospheric water generators that pull drinking water directly from the air around you. These devices use condensation technology to extract moisture from humidity and convert it into pure drinking water. Even in relatively dry climates, these generators can produce several gallons per day using minimal energy input. The technology works like a super efficient dehumidifier combined with advanced filtration systems. Air is drawn through cooling coils that condense water vapor, which then passes through multiple purification stages, including UV sterilization and carbon filtration. The result is water that's often cleaner than municipal tap water, generated from literally nothing but air. During blackouts, water sources become contaminated or inaccessible. Wells require electric pumps, city systems fail, and stored water eventually runs out. But atmospheric water generators work anywhere there's humidity, creating an infinite water supply that's completely independent of infrastructure or natural water sources. The strategic advantage is enormous. While everyone else is fighting over contaminated creek water or rationing their stored supplies, you're generating fresh water continuously. Some models can produce enough water for an entire family while running on solar power or small generators. You become the neighborhood water source, which gives you incredible leverage during crisis situations. Tool number 12 is going to change how you think about food preservation during extended outages, because it uses a method that's been around for thousands of years, but with modern engineering that makes it incredibly efficient. Evaporative cooling. Food preservation systems that work without any electricity whatsoever. These devices use the natural cooling effect of water evaporation to maintain temperatures significantly below ambient air temperature. While everyone else watches their food spoil within days, you're keeping perishables fresh for weeks using nothing but water and airflow. The science is beautiful in its simplicity. Water evaporation absorbs heat energy, creating cooling effects that can drop temperatures by 20 to 30 degrees below surrounding air. Modern evaporative cooling systems use engineered materials and airflow designs that maximize this effect while minimizing water consumption. These systems look like high-tech versions of traditional root cellars or cooling pots. They use wicking materials that draw water up through cooling chambers, creating consistent temperature and humidity levels that preserve food naturally. Some models can maintain near refrigeration temperatures even in hot climates, extending food storage capabilities dramatically. The beauty is sustainability. Unlike generators or solar refrigeration systems, evaporative cooling requires no fuel, no electricity, and no complex maintenance. You just add water periodically and adjust airflow settings. The system works continuously, silently, and reliably, regardless of power grid status or weather conditions. Tool number 13 is the ultimate blackout survival tool because it addresses the one thing that determines whether you thrive or merely survive during extended outages. And it's something most people completely overlook. Psychological warfare defense systems, specifically designed to combat the mental breakdown that occurs during prolonged isolation and uncertainty. I'm talking about structured entertainment and education systems that keep minds sharp, morale high, and families functioning as cohesive units when stress levels skyrocket. These aren't just board games or books. We're talking about comprehensive creative project materials and social interaction psychological support systems that include guided meditation programs, educational courses, and frameworks designed by military psychologists who understand how isolation affects human behavior. The mental health crisis during extended blackouts is severe and immediate. Depression, anxiety, and interpersonal conflicts escalate rapidly when people are confined together without normal distractions or outlets. Families that seemed strong under normal conditions can tear themselves apart within days when stress compounds and boredom sets in. Professional-grade psychological support systems include structured daily routines, skill-building activities, and group exercises that maintain mental health and social cohesion. These programs keep people focused on positive goals rather than dwelling on circumstances beyond their control. Some systems include learning materials for practical skills like electronics repair, mechanical troubleshooting, or medical first aid. Others focus on creative outlets like art supplies, musical instruments, or writing materials that provide emotional release and personal expression opportunities. The strategic value extends beyond immediate survival. Families that maintain psychological health during crises emerge stronger and more prepared for future challenges. They develop confidence, problem-solving abilities, and social bonds that serve them long after power is restored. What makes these 13 tools truly powerful isn't just owning them, it's integration and redundancy. Each one becomes exponentially more effective when combined with the others, creating a layered system that turns a blackout from chaos into something you can control. But owning gear isn't enough. The difference between survival and failure comes down to practice, testing, and knowing exactly how these tools work before the lights go out. Too many people spend thousands on equipment only to realize in an actual blackout that they don't know how to use it. Regular training is critical. Run your water generator to see what it produces in your climate. Test your multi-fuel generator with different materials. Practice making radio contact and powering cooling systems under stress conditions. Even better, simulate a weekend blackout with your family and learn firsthand what works, what doesn't, and where gaps exist. Maintenance and logistics also separate amateurs from professionals. These tools need care, proper storage, and rotation of consumables. Corrosion, expired chemicals, or poorly stored equipment can make them useless when you need them most. Develop a maintenance calendar, keep performance logs, and think through deployment. Whether your basement floods, you need to relocate, or neighbors come knocking. But survival isn't just about you. The most successful blackout survivors are the ones who build community resilience. Your tools give you leverage to form mutual benefit agreements. Water for security patrols, power for shared labor, communication for neighborhood organization. Used wisely, these resources make you indispensable, not a target, and turn desperation into cooperation. Ultimately, these 13 tools are more than gear. They're your insurance policy against chaos. They represent independence from fragile systems, confidence under pressure, and the ability to thrive when most people panic. Acquire them now, master them before disaster strikes. And when the next major blackout hits, you won't just endure it, you'll lead through it.